measures which were being adopted to fight COVID-19, especially amongst, school children and so on, didn't make any sense at all. And to my surprise, in the course of the week, one of the newspapers decided to publish that as their lead story with a banner which suggested that I had insulted the president. Well, I still insist that these measures make no sense at all. When I say that these measures don't make any sense at all, it is not my intention to insult, but it's just to make a statement of fact that the measures don't make sense. We have decided that Parliament should be closed for 3 weeks. And when we talk about Parliament, we are talking about responsible adults. We are talking about persons who are ministers, have been ministers, or have been nominated to become ministers of state. Persons in charge of the management of large sectors of the national economy and national life. We are talking about retired teachers. We are talking about lawyers. We are talking about journalists, renowned journalists and so on. And we think that we cannot allow them to congregate, because if they do congregate, they can contribute to the spread of the virus. In the same breath, we have decided that 1.5-year-olds, 2-year-olds, and 3-year-olds can congregate, and that they can follow the protocols and so on. How can this make sense? Somebody must be explaining to us how this can make sense. If adults, like parliamentarians, cannot congregate, cannot follow protocols and congregate because it will lead to the spread of the virus, how can 1-year-olds congregate? Just by following protocols, and we think that that is okay. This is absolutely senseless. It doesn't make any sense at all. Now, Sana, we know the situation in the schools in Ghana. In the course of the week, we were told that even some of the state-run schools don't have water. They don't have water. Water is so essential in the protocols. We're talking about washing of hands and so on as an essential part of the protocols. Now, if there are schools that don't have water, how do they follow the protocols? How can they follow the protocols? We also do know that there are schools in Ghana in which you have 100 pupils to one teacher, 100 students to one teacher. To what extent can one person supervise the observance of protocols of 100 children? That's next to impossible. It simply doesn't make sense to subject children to this. Then, for me, what annoys me to bits, it's so annoying, so reckless, so foolish, it's unbelievable. You know what annoys me to bits? When I hear public officials saying that, we don't have many cases in the schools and therefore the children should go to school. Do you want to have many cases in the schools before you close the schools down? I would have thought that you shut down the schools in order to prevent many cases occurring. Now, you have people who claim to be thinking, you understand, who claim to be in charge of looking after children and so on, telling us that, as for the children in the schools, they don't have many cases, so let them go. Let them go and do what? And get more cases? Before we wake up? What kind of stupidity is this? Absolute stupidity. And that's what they're telling us. They are telling us that there are not too many cases in the schools, so open the schools. Open the schools for what? So they can get too many cases? And we think that this is sensible. You know, I think that, look, we have come to the stage where many public officials actually assume that the Ghanaian population is made up of yo-yos. You understand? They don't credit us with any intelligence. So they talk to us anyhow. They don't care. They think that we think the way they think. And then they can tell us anything and we will take it and so on. I'm getting increasingly annoyed by these developments and so on. Now, all of us this morning appear to agree on one thing. The data which is being fed us is useless. Absolutely useless. Why? We have stopped doing contact tracing. Mm-hmm. We are not doing random mass testing. And we are putting figures out. What do those figures actually represent? What those figures actually represent is this, my brother. If you feel sick, if you fear that you've had the disease and you go to hospital, you are tested, you become part of the statistics. Or when you actually get the virus and you are tested, you become part of the statistics. Meanwhile, the science is teaching us that there are a lot more people who get the virus are asymptomatic. What does that mean? They don't get any signs. You understand? The virus does not manifest and so on. So the figures we are being given do not represent the actual rate of infection. So you cannot rely on this data. You cannot rely on these numbers to make sensible decisions. And that is clear. Now, we are constantly being told that government policy and so on is being led by the science. What is the science? What is the science? If we are truly being led by the science, in this situation, if we are truly being led by the science, we should be listening to the Ghana Medical Association. If we want to be led by the science, we should be listening to the Ghana Medical Association. Now, it is obvious that nobody is listening to the Ghana Medical Association. Because the Ghana Medical Association has been insisting that we should close down the schools and lock down the centers where the virus is spreading. And nobody is listening to the Ghana Medical Association. And we claim to be led by science. What science? What science are we being led by? Look, there are many, many important things that we should be considering, you understand? Today, when many countries in the world have begun vaccine programs and so on, we haven't begun a vaccine program. We haven't, okay? The science teaches us that this virus has a capacity to mutate, a fantastic capacity to mutate. And because of its fantastic capacity to mutate, the development of the vaccine is trailing behind the virus. One of the cases that we have in the course of the week is a case of South Africa. And the South African government spent enormous amounts of money importing the Oxford
AstraZeneca
vaccine, you understand? It turned out that the virus in South Africa, the type of virus which is spreading in South Africa is different from the British virus, and therefore the AstraZeneca vaccine produced by Oxford cannot deal with that. You understand? Now the South African government is having to look for other vaccines which will be suitable for the South African condition. It is even possible that by the time that they find that vaccine, the virus would have mutated again. You understand? It would have mutated again, and so on. So you have a situation where the development of the vaccine is trailing behind the virus and its capacity to mutate. Are we taking that into consideration? In any case, we have not even begun a vaccination program at all. And then, over the week, I was listening to government officials. I mean, talking all kinds of baby talk. Absolute baby talk. There was one chap who was discussing this situation on Joy FM, you know, and I listened to him very closely. And then he said that Britain has become so powerful a country now that we have to begin to re-examine our relations with Britain and so on, because they have developed this vaccine which is the cheapest in the world. And given our economic circumstances and so on, it may become important for us to depend on the British vaccine. And I said, my goodness, where is this chap coming from? Who gave this person a microphone? Why? What have we done? My brother, to start with, Britain has not developed the cheapest vaccine. The Cubans have developed a vaccine which is far, far cheaper than that developed by Britain. You understand? And in any case, the considerations for what vaccine you should use is not about cost. It's about efficacy. The South Africans went for the British vaccine. It's not working. They have to abandon it. So it's not just about cost, it's about efficacy. Well, I agree that what vaccine you get and how you get it and so on has become an aspect of international geopolitics. Now, if it has become an aspect of international geopolitics, looking at the countries which have developed the vaccine, we are told the United States of America has developed some vaccine, the Chinese have developed some vaccine, the Iranians have developed some vaccine, the Russians have developed some vaccine, and the Cubans have developed some vaccine. Ghana, where do we look to for vaccines? We didn't develop some. And I'm wondering why a country like Ghana is trailing behind a country like Cuba. And I know what I'm talking about. Cuba has been under blockade for more than 50 years, 60-year-old economic blockade. They are not allowed to buy sophisticated medical equipment from the West. Even their citizens, their remittance to their family members and so on is restricted. Cuba is under blockade. Cuba is being suffocated by US imperialism at the head of global imperialism and so on. Why? Cuba, up to today, its economy depends largely on sugarcane and tobacco and so on. Cuba is able to develop a vaccine, and Ghana, which is not under blockade, Ghana, which has gold, has diamond, has bauxite, has aluminum, has gas, has oil, also has. So Ghana, which has all this, is not able to develop a vaccine. Something must be wrong. And Dr. Kwesi says that what is wrong is that we don't have brains. I disagree. We do have brains. But some of our brains, especially the brains which are supposed to be formulating policy and so on, are dead brains. Or they are brains which are not being used. They are brains which are not being exercised. That's our problem. You understand? That is the problem we have. Look, everybody knew that there was going to be a second wave. The science of pandemics predicted that there was going to be a second wave. We knew it. Who didn't know that there was going to be a second wave? And we sat down and took no measures to deal with the second wave. Now the second wave has caught us, and look at us.